and he had clearly found his quarry for this trip to Tremberley Manor. "God, Montaigne's at it again," said a voice from just behind him. He turned to see the last of their quartet, the Marquis of Leith, emerge from the darkness of a nearby balcony. "He really must stop with the servants," Leith continued, his eyes still trained on Montaigne. "It's becoming grotesque." "Leith," John objected, "you know servants are Montaigne's raison d'etre. He will never give them up. We'll be in our 70s, you, me and Trem, long put through the society ringer. Old bastards who only care for whist and whiskey, and Montaigne will be below stairs, flirting with the housekeeper, the scullery maid, and the cook at the same time." Leith scoffed. John knew better than to think he was really disgusted. They watched as Montaigne dismissed the girl. The genteel faces on the other side of the room relaxed. They might be minor gentry and unlanded clergy, but these people knew the reputation of the rank rakes, and they didn't want to regret having brought their daughters to this entertainment. Nevertheless, John would bet his life that the girl had just agreed to meet Montaigne in his bed later that evening. "I'd like to see him try and seduce someone unmoved by the sight of a guinea." "You'll have to tell him yourself. Mr. Overton would never speak to an earl in such an impertinent manner." "I forgot your little game." Leith eyed the drab, cheap clothing of his disguise. "In that case, I won't waste any more time conversing with a man so unequal to myself." John laughed as Leith slid away. He was most likely headed to the corner of the ballroom to perform social penance with the matrons and long-shelved spinsters. Regardless of whatever self-inflicted punishment Leith took on now, John knew he would end the night with a courtesan he had invited down from London, and whose good looks and bright gown announced her profession to anyone who cared to take notice. Montaigne might love a servant, but not more than Leith loved a high-class harlot. John returned to evaluating the crush, casting about for a woman who might be to his tastes. Instead, he caught sight of Tremberley, signalling to him from the other side of the ballroom. He stood next to his current obsession, a woman he had rhapsodized about for nearly a week, Miss Marissa Plinty, a voluptuous, raven-haired young widow, apparently known throughout the parish as wild, unconventional, and uninterested in marrying again. She and Tremberley had been exchanging lewd notes for weeks. The Viscount tipped his head once more in the direction of Miss Plinty, and a young woman standing beside her. The other chit was largely obscured by the crowd, but John doubted that she would be worth his while. However, if he ignored Tremberley any longer, he would endanger his game. A man like Mr. Overton would never fail to heed his noble relative, which Tremberley, of course, knew very well. John loped in his best friend's direction, losing sight of him for a moment due to the tightly packed bodies. Finally he came upon the trio near the edge of the dance. He could see the young woman, who was not Miss Plinty, clearly now. She was clad in light pink, but the colour was too unremarkable for a woman so striking. Her dress courted obscurity, while she refused to cooperate. Her blonde hair appeared from certain angles nearly silver. She was tall, almost at his shoulder, and her frock had a fashionable bodice that made her round, full breasts no secret. John noticed the way a flush stole up her exposed décolletage to her cheeks. Pretty. Unusually pretty, even. But not what he was looking for tonight. Or any night, really. Respectable, marriageable girls never were. Despite her allure, there was no mistaking that this girl, whoever she might be, was a young lady of the gentry looking for her match. "Mr. Overton," Tremberley said, forcing John to look away from the young lady in the pink dress. "Please let me introduce you to Miss Plinty, and to her cousin."